Hi, this is Common Sense with Hadil. Follow Bright to watch us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. In the Middle East, where terrorist groups, where global ambitions were born, Arab states spent billions of dollars to combat terrorism that harmed local communities at first place. But today, we are challenging a new generation of terrorists. Those who were born and raised in the West, they suddenly pledge allegiance for ISIS or Al-Qaeda and wage terror attacks. The radical ideas is the most dangerous tool in the hand of terror groups in the age of social media. Through Qatar media platforms, these ideas is presented to millions of Arab viewers as beautiful and brave. Bless you, my hero. This is how a Jazeera senior presenter described a stabber who stabbed a civilian just because he's Jewish. The leader of Al-Qaeda, Abu Muhammad al-Jawlani, was viewed to us through Al Jazeera TV as a Syrian popular local leader. Besides media, Qatar used its money to fund and empower the militias that fight for these radical ideas. While Qatar PR companies fight in Washington, D.C. to show Qatar as a progressive country and a great ally to the United States, their media platform continue to spread hate speech and anti-American rhetoric among Arab communities. Kylie Schidler of the Security Studies Group will tell us more about that.
Sure, I think that after the Arab Spring and the uprising and the violence that followed in a lot of areas, many of the Arab states realized that violent rhetoric is followed by actual violence, and ideologies that promote violence lead to violence. And so what they realized at the time was that a lot of this material was coming out of Qatar. You had Al Jazeera as just one example of sort of the satellite programs that were promoting real actual violence. They were promoting support for groups like Hamas, the terrorist group, which continues to promote the murder of Jewish and Israeli citizens wherever they can find them. And so this sort of material put out in a supposedly respectable platform like a state-owned satellite cable news program is very, very dangerous. And Qatar provides sort of the backbone, the ideological and intellectual backbone for extremism and radical ideas that lead to violence. And how do they do that? They do that by promoting individuals associated with the Muslim Brotherhood, most importantly perhaps Yusuf al-Qaradawi. Yusuf al-Qaradawi has been a Qatari citizen for a very long time. He resides in Qatar. He's originally Egyptian and a leading member of the Muslim Brotherhood. And he has helped establish Qatar's religious education programs. He works with the Qatar Foundation to promote these sorts of ideas that the Muslim Brotherhood favors. And they pipe his program into millions of homes around the world through Al Jazeera. And so you have a man who openly supports Hamas. He has openly provided fatwas endorsing suicide bombing. And this is the individual that Qatar chooses to promote really throughout the region. And as the other states in the Gulf region have seen the results of this, it's led to bad relations with their neighbors, it's led to violence, it's led to unrest, and they are really trying to change that behavior. And the one sticking point is Qatar, because Qatar refuses to alter its behavior. It's exceptionally dangerous. It's what in the United States we call material support for terrorism. In the United States, it's a crime to provide propaganda on behalf of a terrorist organization like Al-Qaeda. And giving a platform for someone like a Jawlani of al-Nusra, which is Syrian Al-Qaeda, is and a platform where they're not asked tough questions, they're not treated like terrorists, they're treated like statesmen. Like legitimate practitioners of statecraft, and that's completely unacceptable. And that's why we've seen, the sort of radical and most violent groups in places like Syria and in Libya take the lead in the unrest, is in part because they've been supported by Qatar and they've been given a platform for their ideas by the Qataris. The United States needs to realize One, the danger that Qatar represents by promoting terrorist ideology. They need to start sanctioning and designating as terrorist-supporting entities organizations and entities that provide charity money to terrorism, organizations which provide propaganda capabilities for terrorism. Those things are legitimate targets for terrorist designations, and they should be designated. We saw, for example, some of the Arab states have designated Qaradawi's International Union of Muslim Scholars, which he uses to put out fatwas, many of which are violent or radical. And so designating an entity like that, which provides legitimacy for individuals promoting terrorism, I think is the right step. The United States needs to take the lead on designating and sanctioning terrorists the way we did in 2002 and through 2004. And we really have taken a back seat on some of this because we've been very focused on the violent side, and we haven't been focused on the infrastructure, the radical clerics, the bankers who provide money, the propagandists and the fake journalists who provide propaganda for terrorists. And those people are really, in a broader sense, more dangerous. And the United States needs to understand that if we're going to help bring peace to the region, if we're going to help stabilize the region. And we need to be very serious with Qatar and say, you know, you cannot continue to do this behavior and be an ally of the United States. It's completely unacceptable. And if they continue to do this, we should say, you know, we are going to sanction these individuals like Qaradawi. We are going to designate individuals that you associate with, and if you do not expel them or you do not arrest them, we are going to sanction you. We are going to move our airbase from Qatar if you continue this behavior. And in short, if you do not act as an ally, we will not treat you as an ally.
See you next week.